Hey guys, I'm going to share with you an old video today as a memorial to my dad who lost his battle with prostate cancer only a few weeks ago, back on the 20th of November 2023. The short 10-minute video was actually filmed back in 2013. My cousin Nick and some of his colleagues produced a short 10-minute documentary as part of their media studies at the time. And it relates an accident, a terrifying and traumatic accident that Dad had on the farm back in 2006. In that accident, Dad was lucky to survive and he ended up losing his left leg. And the documentary details the events, as well as Dad's miraculous recovery and his inspirational mindset to overcome such a traumatic event. Even though he's no longer with us, the video's very special piece that we'll always treasure, and his memory will continue, no doubt, to inspire us and be a source of great pride. The video starts with a blank screen, so please do not adjust your sets. And I'd like to thank Nick again for allowing me to share this on YouTube, and of course for making it in the first place. It's very special to us.
We got a phone call on the day of the accident from Bernie telling us that it had happened and that Jim was being airlifted by the helicopter at the Royal Melbourne Hospital.
I guess a bit of surprise and then disbelief, and then, well, how serious is it?
She said straight away, he's alive, and I thought, oh, that means, it's bad.
We have a horrendous situation where this machine not only wanted to kill him, but wanted to eat him.
On Saturday morning, about 9 o'clock, I went out to finish a paddock. I only had a little bit to do, and I told Bernie that I would be home fairly early because I had to be at bowls at 1 o'clock. And when I didn't arrive home, she came looking for me.
I wondered where he was. I thought, well, he should be home to go into the post office before we have lunch, and then he wanted to go to bowls. So I think I looked out in the direction he was a few times and nothing was coming.
In the meantime, I'd got off the binder to remove a blockage in the front of the binder, and for some unknown reason the clutch didn't hold on the tractor and it took off and took me with it and tried to feed me through the machine.
He was stuck and the tractor just kept driving around the paddock with Jim's foot severed and hanging by the Achilles tendon beneath the machine.
When it first happened, I just thought, well, this is the finish, I can't do anything about it. And I was probably accepting the fact that I wasn't going to get out of it. I ended up in there. That's why my foot went in there. And it has a big reel that goes round and round, and that knocked me in. Now there's a canvas goes along there, and the straw goes up between two canvases here and out there. Now it tried to feed me up through there. I ended up being caught in the knife with my foot cut off, 3 broken ribs and a punctured lung and lots of skin removed. And I stayed there for about 2.5 hours until someone found me, until my wife found me.
Luckily I knew where he was. I'd been out there a few days before. It was a bit awkward because you had to come in off the road and go along a channel and then go in the gate. I probably got about halfway towards the binder and the tractor and nothing was moving, and then he sat up, so that was a good sign.
Yeah, so I was trapped on the machinery about here, and I could see the front, and I would wave at the cars on the road, but nobody looked.
He was in pain, had a lot of burns from the canvas. Yeah, he looked a real mess. But then I went round the front of the binder and felt his foot, and I thought, well, you know, it's facing the other way, so I can't do anything about that.
Within quarter of an hour, there's people everywhere. The ambulance, the police arrived, neighbours came out to help.
I did say to him, how do you feel about losing your foot? Well, he wasn't too worried about that, just wanted to get out of there.
When the SES or whoever arrived, the emergency people, that they didn't know what to do with this piece of equipment. He had to explain to them how to disassemble it.
They were going to try and wreck things, but I told them not to do that, to try and take a bolt off behind my head. And anyhow, they got me out. It took an hour from the paddock to the Royal Melbourne Hospital, and once I was there, I had people everywhere, doctors looking at me and doing things and sticking tubes in me. And I said, they cut my boot off, and I said, you haven't cut my good boot, have you?
Incredibly fortunate thing was the day before he had replaced the piece of rope that enables him to cut the machine dead.
I had a little string on a little button around here which stops the tractor. So, and all I had to do was pull that string, and that button come out, and that stops the tractor.
Had it been the original piece of rope, he may not have reached it. He probably wouldn't have survived.
Years earlier, I had a few mishaps that could have been dangerous, so I thought we'd better have a safety sock. And that's right. If I hadn't had that, I still would have been going around today.
Still around.
He decided it was hanging down, was in the way, it was a little bit long. He'd planned to cut it off, this thing, this rope, and he didn't have his pocket knife with him, so he didn't do it.
Fate was there, I suppose. If I had to cut it off, I wouldn't have been able to reach anything.
I remember going into the emergency room, I think, and seeing him lying noticeably beaten up, but he seemed in good spirits.
Like someone who'd been through a war, you know, really badly, in pretty bad shape.
And they were considering the fact of trying to save the leg. They said it would be probably 6 years or more operations, and it'd probably nearly have to come off anyhow. I said, forget about that. So that's my golf shoe set up on one leg there. And this is my slipper set up on an old leg, which is the older leg. It's too big for me to wear normally. My stump has shrunk, and they have to make them smaller. So I thought, well, I just leave it inside with an old slipper on, and I just have to change when I come inside. And they're my tubes which I wear on my stump, and they attach to the leg by that serration on the end of it.
He had to have most of the lower part of his left leg removed, and then they used the muscle to wrap over the stump in order to sew that all up and make that kind of workable.
So all I have to do now is to pull it off like that, and I've got 2 socks on here because that's all I need to make the extra thickness. Sometimes I had to put 8 socks on to make it fit, and then all that does is pull off like that, and that's where my stump finishes. And as you see, it gets quite thin. There's no muscle there at all. It's just skin and bone. The rehab was interesting, fairly depressing. A lot of people are very worried about the condition. I mean, some of them have had some really bad problems.
The centre must have loved Jim because he was trying to break a record each day, and it was a remarkable contrast to many of the other patients.
I used to go around talking to them all and cheering them up. And one lady said, I really enjoyed that conversation. We'd been talking for about an hour. She said, I haven't spoken to anyone since I've been in here.
I remember one of the other guys saying, apparently said to him, Jim, slow down a bit, you're making the rest of us look bad.
We had a group of 9, I think 10 in the group when we were doing physio, and we only had 9 legs between us.
I don't think he's changed a lot in his life, which probably tells me that he was living it well anyway.
What's the trouble? Eh? What's the trouble? Do you want your photo taken?
You know, some people have a near-death scare and change direction completely as like a wake-up call, but you know, I think Dad's just coasted on as he has very well.
So I just take it out like that, carry it out under my arm when I go to golf.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I go to golf like this.
He's stoic. He has great perseverance.
Practical, very practical.
Just really caring and funny and just loves his family a lot.
Very laid back, casual but positive attitude.
Down to earth, inspirational and positive.
There's a great line of Les Murray, "The unfallen blow batters one to death." It's about being afraid of what the future might bring. I think that applies to Jim. He doesn't worry about the future. He doesn't worry about the past. He's a survivor rather than a victim.